Hey everybody, welcome to StageIt. I'm Josh Skinner. It's your online concert venue, and you know who I'm with. I'm with Kendall Schmidt from Big Time Rush, and now Heffron Drive. How are you doing today?
I'm great, and I don't know why, because I'm sitting in my own studio, but it's like I'm actually nervous.
Welcome home.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
How does it feel to be home?
Well, it feels like every morning. If anyone really knows this, but the process of putting an album together, depending on how you want to do it, can cost anywhere from nothing to a whole lot. You know, so and for me, I wanted my first step out into the Heffron Drive world with the new music. I wanted it to sound great, so I have all the best teams doing it, and so really, all these notes are going to paying for mixing and mastering and assembling the album and artwork and all that stuff. So
what I love about this is that your fans who love you are basically, it's their album.
They're basically contributing to the album being finished. Yeah, absolutely.
Before we go over the prizes, I want all the fans to know that if you give 50 or more notes, you automatically get an album with Kendall's signature on it. So that's pretty rad.
Epic.
Are you ready? Should we tell them what the prizes are?
Yeah, let's tell them what the prizes are.
Then we're going to get into the interview.
Okay,
so what is the grand prize? An autograph what?
An autographed
guitar?
Guitar. A travel guitar, a travel-sized guitar.
So it's like Polly Pocket.
Yeah, it's not, it's not the smallest guitar in the world, but you can definitely travel with it.
Well, that's, if you want to win Kendall's guitar with...
And by the way, I think it's a really nice guitar.
Well, it's
great. Because I love guitars.
Yeah, he was playing on it earlier.
Yeah, it's a really nice guitar.
Touched it.
Yeah.
All right, second prize. Are you ready for this? It's a meat. Yeah.
Shirt. I normally don't wear my own merch, but I don't know. It seemed like if I was going to give away a shirt, I should give away the shirt that I'm wearing, and also a Heffron Drive shirt, I would think.
And maybe we can have you sign the shirt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
It'll be signed.
Yeah, and smell like him. Which, by the way, I just said you smell very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's travel back in time, Kendall, just a little bit. I want to talk about, before we get into Big Time Rush and now Heffron Drive, what was it like to have Steven Spielberg throw you a birthday party? Let's talk about that. There wasn't a lot of information on that.
No, and honestly, there really wouldn't be. And I'm still to this day kind of shocked about it because, if you think about, all right, so I'll explain the situation. So when I was 9, my agent was like, look, we have this, we think you look like him. There's this offer to do stand-in work for Haley Joel Osment for AI, the movie. And I had never done stand-in work before, but they were like, look, it's going to be a great opportunity. You're going to talk to Steven Spielberg every day, and you're going to get to meet Haley, and, just... I was 9. It's not like I had to do anything anyway. So it was a cool opportunity, and so I was like, yeah, sure. I went to the audition, and apparently I looked the most like him from behind, or from the side.
Which is a compliment?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I got the part with a couple other kids, because obviously we're all young, so we could only work so many hours. And throughout the filming, we got to really be good friends, and I talked to Spielberg every day, and Haley, and on my birthday, which was on set, they pulled me in to do just another scene. I was just assuming to go set up a shot. And I walked in, and the whole crew is sitting there, and Steven Spielberg is turned around in this big black chair with a birthday cake with all the Star Wars figures on it. And he turned around, and he was like, happy birthday, and they all sang happy birthday. And there's a video, there's a VHS, that's how long ago it was. There's a VHS of me, of the actual event. And then other than that, I just have a couple Polaroids, and that's all I have.
Did you have... Okay, so now looking back at your age of 23, how do you look back on that experience that Steven Spielberg made you a Star Wars cake?
I don't remember the last time I watched the video, but I do remember thinking, like, back then, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I was just, didn't even...
Just an average day.
Oh, I mean, I was smiling, and I had a genuine look on my face, but, like, as an adult, I looked back on it, and I was like, that was epic. Like, if my younger self knew how awesome that was, maybe my face would have been like, crazy. I don't know, but I just thought, now looking back on it, it's like, I mean, those are just some of the cool things that I've been able to be lucky enough to do out here in California. Land of opportunity.
That's true. Let's take you back to the day where you were signing your Big Time Rush contract, where you're like, I know
I remember
I booked the show, What were you thinking at that moment?
Well, how about this? We were already working on the show before we signed the contract.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is a fun little fact.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it makes any difference. But I remember being on set and someone was like, "Hey, fellas, I need you to come over here." And obviously for network, for the final audition, you have to sign something. But then like, come over here, and we all sat down, and it was one of the glass coffee tables in the Big Time Rush set, and it was like a 60-page contract, and then there was another one. There was one for Nick and one for Sony, and both were equally thick. And I remember just being like, "Well, here we go. There's only one thing to do." And of course, I was going to sign it because, I love the television show, and then my entire life changed. From that moment on, my entire life changed.
At that moment, what were you thinking?
Wow, I'm signing a contract. I never thought that would happen. Also, holy crap, I'm with Columbia Records. This is really cool. And then thinking in my head, like growing up, I always wanted the goal as a kid actor was to have a series regular part on a television show. I mean, you know what that's like to audition for stuff. So that was the goal, and I remember thinking, well, did it? And then I was like, what do we make of it now? And I remember one thing I wanted the entire time was a Kid's Choice Award, because as a kid, I wanted one so bad. I used to watch every single year, and sure enough, now I have like 6.
So you've been slimed.
I've been slimed, and I have slimed people.
That's like every
that's
teenage
what I'm
boy's
saying.
dream.
So like there was
I don't know. Slime.
There were things happening that happened all the time, but like specific things that I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like holding a piece of the aggro crag.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, Global Guts. I used to watch Global Guts like religiously, and I was like, I could do that, And then finally one day at the Nickelodeon office, sure enough, there's a piece of the aggro crag, and I held it up over my head, even though I didn't actually compete. I thought it was cool. It's actually plastic, everybody. It's not crystal.
Oh,
it's plastic.
It's been ruined.
I know. It's ruined it for everyone.
Well, that's a great transition, actually. What was?
What is that going to transition into?
We're going to transition to Heffron Drive,
okay.
Because these are milestones in your life. Spielberg, Big Time Rush. Now, I saw an interview with you that you said Heffron Drive's always been there because Dustin has been since the beginning. He's been your guitarist.
Well, okay,
and you lived on the same street.
That was the weirdest thing. Was first of all being from the same city. We're both from Kansas, same hospital to be exact, and meeting in LA, and then ironically living on the same street, like 4 houses down from each other. It was really like a weird coincidence. And then when I turned 18, I had like some money saved up. Because most people don't know this. There's a thing called a Coogan account. So when you're a kid actor, when you make a check from something that you've booked, they take a percentage of it and put it away, and you can never touch it until you're 18. So all the commercials I did growing up and all that stuff, I turned 18 and I had like some money, and I was like, well, what do I do with it? Buy music equipment, I guess. And so I bought a computer, I got Logic, I got a microphone, I got a guitar. Well, my grandma helped me buy my first guitar, and we started making music. And so it was sort of like that beginning investment into the musical equipment was the conduit that was like, hey, we can actually make stuff now. And then I didn't even realize that later on, now that I have my own studio and I've had time to actually set it up, how much certain equipment matters. Like you can make anything on anything. You can record on your iPhone. But to make a real studio quality sound, like you have to have a real studio. Or at least the equipment.
Now, looking around your studio today, is this how you pictured it?
Yeah, I always like the idea of having a homey place. Like, a proper studio. Like, I think it'd be cool one day to have a studio not by where I sleep. So I get up in the morning and I go to the place to work, right? Rather than, I guess if I'm feeling up to it, I go make something and back. You know what I mean?
No, I
so
that.
One day I'd like it, but I remember one time Carlos came over. I used to live in Studio City, and the house was not an ideal situation for a studio, so we ended up setting it up in the dining room. Why? Because we never eat in the dining room. So the studio's in there, and Carlos comes in, and it's literally a dining room that was just stuff was put on the walls to try to block out some sound, but it was not going to work.
Hey, Susie.
Hi, Sissy.
Stock.
And so it was awful, like as far as sound quality. But he sits in there, and I remember he like looks around, and Carlos has like a beautiful studio. Carlos is like a pro studio, and he looks around, and he's like, "I really like this." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It just feels good, like at home." And I was like, "Well, it is home, and it should feel like it's at home. And if anything, it makes me feel more comfortable to just express and make music. I mean, I come in here and just play something until it sounds good, and then assemble it, and then they hear it eventually."
How about we give them a sneak preview of how you work? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking it'd be cool because I get asked a lot in interviews about